All right, thank you, Scott, and thank you to the Wisconsin Paper Council for allowing the Paper Industry International Hall of Fame to present their awards at this year's meeting. As Scott said, I am Lance South, Board Chair of Atlas Science Center, and a lot of you, based on some of the earlier discussions I had with folks, are wondering what the Atlas Science Center is, what it has to do with the Paper Industry Hall of Fame, and others who know about the Hall of Fame are maybe wondering what's with the name Atlas Science Center. The last time we had a Hall of Fame induction ceremony in 2021 for the Paper Discovery Center. So if you allow me to kind of answer both questions at once, back then we really started looking at the organization. It had started in 2004, and we were closed for much of 2020, as most places were, and we used that as an opportunity to take a look at ourselves and our operations. We had realized that for several years we had declining attendance, declining donations, and we really didn't feel that the business was headed in the right direction. And we used that as an opportunity to really rebrand ourselves from the Paper Discovery Center to the Atlas Science Center. And why did we choose to do that? For one, we were really doing a lot of STEM education, STEM outreach, grades 3 through 5, 6 through 8, high school. That was really the core of our business. That's how we were getting people in the door, field trips, community outreach, with STEM education. However, we had the word paper in our name, right? Paper Discovery Center. So organizations that were not part of the paper industry said, why would I donate to you and support you when you're clearly a paper industry entity? In addition, online, in databases, we were listed as a museum. So when people would be searching for organizations, science centers, STEM centers to support, we wouldn't show up. We were a museum. And finally, we were incorporated as our 501c3 as the Paper Industry Hall of Fame. So people, when you say you want to support STEM education, well, yes, but you're clearly a Hall of Fame. I can't necessarily support a Hall of Fame, but I would support STEM education. So when you add that all up, we're offering STEM. We were named paper, we're listed as a museum, and we're a Hall of Fame in our articles of incorporation. It's a very difficult message to get across to prospective donors. And so we felt at that time we really needed to rebrand. We changed our organization to a science center. We undertook the effort, 18-month effort, to get our 501c3 changed to the Atlas Science Center. Again, lawyers and government documents involved in doing that. It took 18 months, but we got it done. And in 2022, in April, we officially became Atlas Science Center, offering STEM education. And a lot of the concepts were based in and around the paper industry: chemistry, physics, engineering, math. For an example, we're not going to be doing Mars exhibits. It's not core to what we do. We're staying true to our DNA from the paper industry. And the name Atlas itself, we were located in Appleton at the former Atlas paper mill, Kimberly-Clark mill, and we chose that name to, again, maintain our roots in the paper industry. And additionally, papermaking is at the heart of everything we do. It's our most popular exhibit. Every paid attendee gets a hands-on papermaking session with the history of the area and the paper industry. So how have things been going? As I mentioned, in 2022 we became officially Atlas Science Center, and in 2022 we had 4,500 contacts. And I'll define a contact as anybody that paid to show up, to visit us, field trips, and also community outreach. Things that maybe don't generate revenue, but we go out to festivals and community events and promote STEM education in the paper industry. So we had 4,500 contacts in 2022. Last year, we saw a 50% increase to 6,700. And this year, in fact, in May alone, was our second biggest month in our history. We had almost 1,500 contacts, and we are projected to go over 10,000 this year, so another 50% increase in contacts. So we're seeing a lot of really positive results in that change to Atlas Science Center promoting STEM education. So Hall of Fame, that's why we're here, to honor this year's inductees. We have three to honor today. The Hall of Fame was established in 1992, and there are over 140 people enshrined in the Hall of Fame. The three we have today, one from Voith. We have a very strong contingent of Voith supporters for Christian Schiel today, and we have two that are very near and dear to our hearts at Atlas. Very strong local ties, individuals that were longtime advocates and benefactors of the Paper Discovery Center, the Hall of Fame, and now Atlas Science Center. So I'd like to first introduce Mike McGregor, who will be reading the induction of Christian Schiel.
Thanks very much, Matt. Pardon my dry voice. Three of us, Chuck Blomberg, who's out there running the slides for me, Ron Crodagino, who's up in Canada, and we worked together to nominate Christian Schiel for this high honor. Understandably, we were really pleased when we learned that he'd been accepted into the Paper Industry Hall of Fame in this formal ceremony today. Chuck and I wanted Ron, who was a longtime friend and mentor, colleague of Christian, to give the acceptance speech. Unfortunately, for an unforeseen medical reason, Ron is not able to attend here. So it turns out that I'll be presenting to you the speech that he prepared for us today. This is his writing that I'm telling you about. Christian Schiel's Romanian beginning. Christian Schiel, over his lifetime, became an extraordinary innovator and passionate mountaineer, and a man devoted to his family. He was born in 1932 in Buștenet, Romania. He lived very close to the paper mill in Buștenet, co-founded by his grandfather and his uncle back in 1882. The name of it was C&S Schiel Paper Mill. This was Romania's first and largest paper mill. Interestingly, the town's given name of Buștenet means tree log, translated. And of course, it takes trees to make paper. Christian family life. He spent the first 12 years of his life surrounded by the Carpathian Mountains, where he developed a passion for mountaineering. Family outings on foot or on skis was a basic need for Christian that remained with him throughout his whole life. Refugees. In 1944, 4 short years after the paper mill's installation of their last paper machine in Buștenet, his family had to leave Romania and go to Germany. As refugees, they lost the paper mill. They were refugees because of the advancing Russian army during the final stages of World War II. Education. During the chaotic post-war years in Germany, young Christian Schiel built his own career, serving a 3-year apprenticeship as a millwright first, and then earning a university degree in mechanical engineering at the Oscar von Miller Polytechnicum in Munich in 1954. In retrospect, it turned out to be an ideal education for the innovator that he was, particularly as it was supplemented by Christian's innate curiosity and lifelong thirst for knowledge. Beginnings of his career in Heidenheim. He joined J.M. Voigt in Heidenheim in southern Germany. Ironically, a major equipment supplier for the Schiel paper mill that his grandfather had started so long ago. And by the way, I don't even know yet if the there's any mill left there. I'm going to try to find out from Adi who it was. Christian's position at Foyt was as a design and planning engineer. As an exceptionally gifted engineer with an intuitive understanding of the needs, this rookie engineer was entrusted with the entire development of a fiberboard mill for a South American customer during the first 2.5 years of his career. I personally couldn't believe that having a job like that. North American education. To complement his training with even more international experience, he spent 5 years in North America. First at the Powell River Company in BC, Canada, and second at the Mead Paper. In the Powell River Mill, he became well known by the maintenance crews as, quote, the engineer who designed stuff that could not only be built, but also that it worked after it was built. Unquote. The people of Powell River also knew him as the curious one who went on walks after work carrying a backpack full of bricks. That'd be curious to me, too. And they also knew him for all his climbing on weekends and challenging mountains around Powell River. He did these apparently unusual things because he was self-training to attempt the first ever summit ascent on Mount Waddington, a 13,200-foot mountain, by a Canadian team in 1958. This was considered the most challenging climb in the Canadian West Coast mountain range and hadn't been done by any Canadian team in the entire 20 years since the first ever ascent made by Americans. Reaching the summit at age 26 was an achievement he was justifiably really proud of. Interestingly, all 5 of the team luckily survived with only minor injuries from their accidental 300-foot drop slide during their descent. You can see here where he was on the top of that peak. Unbelievable. It was then time to move on to another job in North America. As you can see in this slide, the recruiter saw a lot of promise in Christian. This reaching out of skills resulted in him being hired by the Mead Corporation in Chillicothe, Ohio. Here he had the wonderful good fortune to work with and be mentored by Peter Resch. So many of you maybe remember he's another Hall of Famer made in 1998. On the development of the fabric press, this would be the first of many patents on which Christian was listed as co-inventor. These 5 years spent in North America were very productive and resulted in him making many friendships that lasted a lifetime. Back to Heidenheim. After his time in North America, Christian Schiel returned to Heidenheim in 1962. He married Regina for a lifetime and raised a family, a daughter, Alinda, and a son, Jan. Heidenheim was a place where he could indulge his major passions, which were his family, a career of innovation, and access to some beautiful mountains for daily family outings and more challenging expeditions. A career of innovation. With his work experiences in North America and returning to Heidenheim, Christian Schiel was back at Foyt, now as a chief development engineer. And he was given a mandate for continual innovation to ensure the company's leadership in paper-making technology. He held this position until he retired. So he was that chief development engineer for all those years. are counting on him for bringing in innovations all the time. He and his team were exceptionally creative and productive, developing technology that contributed to Foyt's strong global position, which they still have today. And there were key contributions to dramatic increases in paper machine productivity and improvements in paper quality all over the world. And it's not just only Foyt equipment, but other equipment came along because of the competition and everything. It started by all his work and the team's work. Their major developments include a series of forming devices based on a roll forming concepts for the manufacture of a broad range of paper grades. The technology to manufacture reliable fabric sleeves that cover press rolls. And that's a hard thing to do, to cover a press roll with a fabric and have it be reliable and stay there and not blow apart. Creating a vastly simplified method of introducing fabrics into the press nibs without having a long fabric run inside the press felt run. So before there was a fabric inside of a felt fabric, and then both of those would go through the net. Now he replaced that. And for sure, most notably, the development of fully enclosed, flexible, extended nib presses. Everything fully enclosed. Along with accompanying technology to manufacture flexible roll sleeves. Again, under all these high loads, you really have to have a good product. These have all fundamentally changed the design of modern paper machine press sections that are operating even today of all kinds. Not just liner board, but all the way to the tissue. His work is documented in more than 40 publications, 149 US patents that he has his name on. And and a similar number in other jurisdictions, I guess. Many of his findings are still applied today in most modern paper machines all around the world. How did he do it? He was exceptionally creative and had an insatiable sense of curiosity. He enjoyed challenges and was a master of identifying the key elements that would lead to improvements in technology. His creativity attracted a group of very talented co-workers. These people wanted to work with him. He was so good. He was trusted by customers because he knew he always delivered on his promises. He did not mind getting his hands dirty, if you can believe. He understood the concerns of installers and mill maintenance crews, and he actually listened and gave credence to them. In 1995, Christian Schiel was awarded the esteemed Walter Brecht Medal by Zeltman for outstanding achievements in the pulp and paper industry. Retirement. In 1997, Christian Schiel retired in Murnau, southern Germany, near the Alps, after 43 years, most all of it with Foyt. Fueled by his lifelong passion for the outdoors, he and his wife Regina enjoyed their retirement with long walks and outings on skis in the nearby Bavarian Alps, often accompanied by their children, or grandchildren, or good friends. After a long and wonderful life that spanned from Ostende to North America and then back to Heidenheim, Christian Schiel died only 3 years ago, in September 2021, at age 89 in Murnau. And he left a remarkable legacy that today we are celebrating. I just want to leave now with greetings from Elena and Richie. Received a message and a photograph that you see here 2 days ago from both Regina and Elena saying that they have great gratitude for Christians being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Finally, I'd like to express appreciation to Ron Codagino, and especially to Christian's daughter, Alina, for all the historical photos and information that went into creating this presentation. Thank you very much.
I'd now like to welcome to the stage Paul Miller, introducing his father, Harold.
So thank you all for this opportunity. Our dad was born and raised in Menasha, Wisconsin, in a humble home just a stone's throw from the Fox River. He grew up near paper mills in Appleton, Neenah, and Menasha. So in a sense, Harold was born in the heart of paper country. Harold attended high school at St. Mary's High School, which was about a block away from his childhood home. This is also where he met the true love of his wife, our mom, Doris. I'm gathered here today with my family. Oh.
Hit the arrow key on the keyboard.
I'll just hit the enter key. Okay, I can handle that. I'm joined here today by my brother John and his wife Shelley, my sister Ann and her husband Kurt, and my sister Mary, and many of his grandchildren. While Harold was in high school, he self-proclaimed himself as unenthused and average. For anyone who's known my dad, he was anything but unenthused and average. But that was my dad. He was the most humble person I ever met. Contrary to what he said, he was a great student on the boxing team and already building a career to be a great engineer. He built 2 boats from scratch with his best friend, Ray Zielinski. They built the hull, the steering mechanisms, found used automobile engines to propel them through the water. And these weren't small boats. The last boat they built was at least 26 feet long. And by the pictures, this boat could really move and was very fast, which is a theme of my dad, to do everything and go fast. Post-high school, Harold first dipped his toe in the paper industry with a summer job at Kimberly-Clark. This began a more than 60-year distinguished career in the paper industry. After summer, he was off to college, where he graduated from UW-Madison with a Bachelor's in Science in Electrical Engineering. Post-graduating from college, Harold moved back to Menasha and joined Marathon Corporation as a junior engineer, and then later moved to American Can Corporation. He quickly climbed the ladder and became a director, earning his license as a professional engineer. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Thanks. Earning his license as a professional engineer. And in 1959, Harold was awarded the first of many patents. While his career was growing, Harold faced a critical decision when the company wanted to relocate him to the East Coast. Harold did not want to uproot his family, his wife, and his 4 children to move to the West Coast and leave Menasha. So Harold became an entrepreneur before the word was even in vogue. At age 66, in 1966, at age 38, Harold and 4 partners founded Marathon Engineers, Architects, and Planners, consulting and design firm dedicated to the paper industry. They worked hard. My dad worked long hours, and I remember him coming home, spreading large sheets of paper on the dining room table, all filled full of small geometric shapes connected by a matrix of lines. And this was mapping out a paper or pulp process that they were working on. You know, I was just a little kid, and I thought it was pretty cool. He had this huge paper, drawing on it. I thought I would doodle on it myself. As Marathon grew, they moved to a new office. And I remember going to that office and seeing lots of men, white shirts. In those days, it was the 60s, so you had the big broad ties. And of course, the inevitable pocket protector. They're all hunched over, drafting tables. And I'm not sure that was the moment that inspired my brother and myself to become engineers. But I thought it was pretty cool. And by the looks out here, I can pretty much tell which of you started on a drafting table and which of you have probably never seen a drafting table. As Marathon grew, they added offices in Milwaukee, Little Rock, Arkansas, Augusta, Georgia, and as one of the founding fathers and vice president, Harold earned a reputation as the instrumentation guru of the company. Always on the cutting edge, I remember another time he brought me to the office to show me the latest technology. Computers. They just purchased from Sun Corporation, and they were the fastest in the industry at the time. Marathon was one of the first companies in the industry, as well as the state, to adopt computers for drafting and engineering. Consistent with his life, Harold was a trailblazer, and like his boats, always looking to go fast. By 1981, Harold had ascended to the roles of Chief Executive Officer and Chairman. And in 1986, he added the title. Oh, you already got it. Thank you. Oh, thank God. He added the title of President. Under his leadership, Marathon Engineering thrived. And in 1989, the firm was recognized as one of the top 50 engineering and architectural firms in the United States, and was the largest in Wisconsin, specializing in pulp and paper. While this was prior to employee surveys and Glassdoor, I know my dad and Marathon would have scored well. During visits to the office, attending ribbon cutting ceremonies, people would comment how much they enjoyed working with and for Harold. He had a great sense of humor and an enduring smile. With thousands of projects under their belt, Harold saw the need to establish a larger capital base to sustain growth and weather economic downturns. I remember when the economic downturn hit almost every industry, and Harold had to lay off employees. This deeply impacted my dad, and he had many sleepless nights. Thus, those two things led Harold to lead the sale of Marathon to Yakapuri in 1990. Marathon still lives today under the name Afri in the Fox Cities, and I saw your booth as I walked in. Always looking to grow employment in the area, Harold served on the board of many local firms, including MIE Services and Electromeasure, which is now Plexus. In retirement didn't slow Harold down or remove him from the paper industry. He joined the team in the leading of the creation of the Paper Discovery Center in Appleton, which you now have heard as the Atlas Science Center. Harold loved taking his numerous grandchildren to the center, and his favorite activity, is one that was mentioned, was making paper by hand. We tried to calculate all the paper made by hand by Harold's grandchildren, and I estimated it would go from Green Bay to Atlanta and back. He was there a lot with his grandchildren. He loved his 8 grandchildren, always taking them to the park, attending sporting events, school events, dinners, and he was always giving them advice. In retirement, Harold was active and liked going fast still. Well into his 70s, I remember one visit to our lake house. We woke up one morning and we couldn't find Harold. Next thing we know, we look at him. He is zipping across the lake in a jet ski. He had it wide open and full throttle. While many of us at his age would have enjoyed a peaceful morning cup of coffee, that was not Harry. He wanted to show his kids and his grandkids to take it wide open. Your only limits are within yourself. So go for it, full throttle. As important as Harold was to his family and businesses, he touched many parts of the Fox City community in volunteer leadership roles and through substantial anonymous donations. He was an active member of St. Mary's Church, including many years singing in the choir, I couldn't sing, and with the Boy Scouts. At the community level, Harold spent 10 years as the Menasha Police Commissioner and also served as the chairman of Heck Rock Wetland Preservation in Menasha. Being a humble man, Harold declined induction into the Paper Hall of Fame more than once. I thank the Paper Hall of Fame for their persistence, and I'm here today representing my extended family, and we thank you for this opportunity to share a little of our dad's legacy and our story. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome to the podium Kelly Heline to introduce Harry Spiegelberg.
The clicker is working. All right. I'm the one low on energy, right, Lauren? Yeah. All right, to recognize Harry Spiegelberg, the scientist and Paper Hall of Fame recipient, requires really that first we understand Harry Spiegelberg, the person. My father, Roy Velichka, knew Harry well. After all, from the young age of 3, I would accompany Harry's entire family north to our cabin in Lakewood, Wisconsin. Dad said that during their summer sojourns to the cabin, Harry would sit beside one of the streams on the trust property and calculate the volume of water flowing through the stream that connected one elevation of land to another. This collection of friends, fondly called the Gourmet Group, which my mom commented yesterday really came from all the wives, from the 1960s would gather in the spring to go trout fishing. Now, Harry's not here today because he and his family are at the wedding that is tomorrow, his grandchild. So all of them are there preparing. So I don't know if he'd really care for this statement that my dad gave yesterday, but I think it's quite funny. Dad said that together they drank enough to float a boat in the Wolf, Oconto, Pine, or Pike rivers, where friendship and fishing were nurtured. Harry was my dad's commanding officer in the reserves while in ROTC in the 291st Combat Engineers Division. Dad also described Harry as a closet farmer who had land north of Black Creek, where he farmed the acreage with his beloved tractor. To know Harry is to consider his legacy in numbers. 1936, he was born in New London, Wisconsin on a dairy farm. In 1960, he married Bonnie, and this commitment has endured for more than 64 years, resulting in 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. He also has 2 sisters who still reside in Wisconsin, so you can see life. Harry excelled academically as well, serving as high school class valedictorian. He graduated from University of Wisconsin in 1959 with a degree in chemical engineering, while also, bless you, serving as an Army Reserve ROTC officer, earning the rank of captain. Harry began in Kimberly-Clark in 1959 and flourished, but his education didn't end there. While working, he earned a master's degree in chemistry from Lawrence University, followed by a PhD in physics from the Institute of Paper Chemistry. In 1980, he further expanded his education by earning an MBA from the University of Chicago. His son Scott shared with me that his MBA from the University of Chicago was part of an executive training program sponsored by Kimberly-Clark. He would attend classes on weekends in Chicago while still working full-time in Appleton during the week, doing his homework in the evenings. In 2007, Harry earned the Distinguished Alumni Award from his beloved University of Wisconsin, Madison. Harry spent more than 37 years with Kimberly-Clark, rising through the ranks to his final position as Vice President, Technology and Patent Strategy. Innovation and problem solving were core attributes. Harry's initial role at Kimberly-Clark in the pulp engineering department caused him to understand that he wanted to move into a role where he could invent something new and different and better, with the curiosity that compelled him throughout his life. Harry had several notable contributions during his 37 tenured years at Kimberly-Clark. When he was granted leave in 1961 by Kimberly-Clark to attend the Institute of Paper Chemistry, where he earned his master's and doctorate degrees, he returned to Kimberly-Clark to head up the New Concepts Laboratory, a small group at the forefront of consumer products research. Harry was inventor or co-inventor on several notable patents, but one of his landmark achievements was the establishment of the Paper Industry Hall of Fame to recognize past and present contributors to this critical industry that shaped his life. Community impact and hobbies. Harry wasn't idle at work, nor at home. Raising a family of 4, he was also active in his community. His children are equally talented and engaged. Scott shared that one of his secret hobbies was acting, where he did so with William Dafoe, if you all know him. His hobbies continue to include hiking, bridge, music. I don't know if we knew at the Paper Hall of Fame that he was a talented trumpet and pianist. Did you know that?
No.
Harry was a consummate supporter of UW-Madison. He was also a mentor to me at a very young age to consider the paper industry. I like to think it's because we both began our educational lives at UW-Madison. While I elected to accept a role at Wisconsin Tissue at the time, versus Kimberly-Clark, it was really driven by my passion for skiing because I was located in Denver. He asked me to join the board at the PDC in early 2000, and we never lost touch. I remained on that board for many, many years with several of you in this room who I consider dear friends. Harry has left an indelible mark on the community, and Kathy Seifert shared a note with me yesterday with a few comments. And as you all know, she's a retired executive from Kimberly-Clark as well. She said, please note he was a terrific leader and was very committed and passionate about hiring and promoting diverse talent. He was respected in many new product categories, and these are a few of them that were launched during his tenure. Depend, Posey, pull-ups, good nights, baby wipes, little swimmers. He was instrumental in creating the brands we know. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. I'd now like to welcome Carol Couillard to the podium. Is it okay with the French pronunciation?
Hello, everyone. I'm going to get these pretty soon. So, hello, everyone, and thank you once again for joining us today. As Dan said, I am Carol Couillard, the Executive Director of Atlas Science Center. I want to extend a special thanks to the Wisconsin Paper Council for hosting us today, and a special thanks to Sean and to Lori from Atlas and the Council for putting this all together. I also want to thank Kimberly Clark, Great Lakes Tappy, and Myron Construction for their generous sponsorship, which has allowed us to gather here today and honor these three distinguished figures from the paper industry. Early on, the Paper Industry International Hall of Fame and the Paper Discovery Center used the tagline, celebrating all things paper, the wonder and the legacy. It resonates particularly today as we commemorate Juneteenth. 159 years ago, General Order Number 3, announced in Texas, freed all enslaved people in that state. A historic moment immortalized on paper, now preserved in the National Archives in Washington, D.C. Paper has been instrumental in recording and preserving historic events and has played a pivotal role in Wisconsin history. At Atlas, guests of all ages delight in making paper in our paper science lab. Our paper-related exhibits, archival displays, and hands-on activities teach about the science and technology which goes into paper making. Scale models of paper machines represent those who make the machines which make paper, as well as the companies who built the facilities to house them, many of whom are represented here today. Since our home, the Atlas Mill, was established in 1878, the concept of paper has evolved far beyond newspapers and letters. The once humble cellulose fiber now safeguards our food, ensures product integrity in global shipments, and contributes to countless innovations. At Atlas Science Center, we remain committed to honoring the papermaker's spirit of scientific inquiry and problem solving. In the near future, we are planning innovative and exciting exhibits for the main floor, which will tell the story of the past and future of science, technology, engineering, and math in Northeast Wisconsin. The Hall of Fame kiosks and plaques will find a new home in what will become the Hall of Fame Legacy Library. Sponsors often include books, patents, candid photos, and samples of historical products with their nominations, enriching our understanding of their contributions. We will be able to bring the achievements of inductees to life for thousands of guests each year. Additionally, we aim to update the paperhall.org website with the latest inductee information and introduce a digital application form, ensuring accessibility and engagement for future nominations. We invite all of you to become a part of the river level paper activities as sponsors, volunteers, or even guest educators. We know what our younger guests are drawn to is that our careers where their work can directly contribute to solving real-world problems, whether it's through renewable energy, sustainably sourced raw materials, environmental conservation, or social innovation. They seek roles where their contributions can lead to meaningful and measurable outcomes. On the subject of careers, is there anyone in this room, and I talked to a couple today, whose lives would be made easier by hiring 5 or 10 STEM literate trainable employees tomorrow? If the answer is yes, I invite you to partner with us on WIN, or Wisconsin Industry Innovations, a new exhibit which will provide students, parents, as well as the public with the opportunity to learn about all these great local industries, as well as the career paths which lead them to a successful future. Part of WIN is a virtual reality component from Transfer, which allows students to try out career opportunities from medical assistant and EMS to cell tower engineer, using an industrial cooker, becoming a pipe fitter, or working in construction. The second part of WIN comes from companies like yours, who want to display your logo, job opportunities, and career paths you offer to students. We know that local industry is not stagnant. It is constantly evolving with new technologies and processes. Modern paper mills and local manufacturing facilities and construction sites are high-tech operations that require a workforce skilled in areas such as automation, robotics, and environmental science. By attracting more employees, we can ensure that our industry remains at the forefront of innovation. Thank you for allowing us to introduce Atlas Science Center, home of the Paper Industry International Hall of Fame. I hope together we can create transformative experiences for our future, for our community and future generations. Thank you very much.